In a move that sent shockwaves through the global trade landscape, Canada announced retaliatory tariffs on $155 billion worth of US goods. This unprecedented decision has not only captured the attention of economists and policymakers, but also stirred significant debate among international trade experts. The Canadian government, in a detailed press conference, outlined the scope and scale of these tariffs. They emphasized that this action was a necessary response to what they perceive as unjustified and harmful tariffs imposed by the United States on Canadian products. The move comes in direct response to what Canada deems as unjustified tariffs imposed by the United States. These US tariffs have been a point of contention for months, with Canadian officials repeatedly voicing their concerns and seeking diplomatic solutions. This bold action marks a significant escalation in trade tensions between the two North American neighbors. The stakes are high, as both countries are major trading partners, and any disruption in their trade relationship could have far-reaching consequences. It signals Canada's resolve to protect its economic interests and stand firm against protectionist measures. The Prime Minister, in his address, highlighted the importance of standing up for Canadian businesses and workers who have been adversely affected by the US tariffs. The comprehensive tariff package unveiled by the Canadian government targets a wide range of US products. This list includes everything from agricultural goods to manufactured items, reflecting the broad impact of the US tariffs on the Canadian economy. These products span various sectors, from consumer goods to industrial materials. By targeting such a diverse array of products, Canada aims to send a clear message about the extensive repercussions of the US tariffs. The tariffs are designed to exert pressure on the US economy and bring it to the negotiating table. Canadian officials hope that this economic pressure will lead to a more balanced and fair trade agreement between the two nations. The goal is to find a resolution that benefits both countries. A mutually beneficial agreement would not only ease current tensions, but also pave the way for a more stable and prosperous trade relationship in the future. This decision reflects the growing frustration among Canadian officials and businesses with the US approach to trade. Many Canadian businesses have reported significant losses and disruptions due to the US tariffs, adding to the urgency of the situation. They argue that the US tariffs are not only harmful to the Canadian economy, but also undermine the long-standing trade partnership between the two nations. This partnership has been built over decades and is crucial for the economic stability of both countries. The Canadian government has made it clear that these tariffs are a defensive measure. They are not intended to escalate the conflict, but to protect Canadian interests and prompt a reconsideration of the US tariffs. They are a direct response to the tariffs imposed by the United States. Canadian officials have reiterated their willingness to engage in constructive dialogue to resolve the issue. Canada remains committed to free and fair trade, but it will not hesitate to defend its interests when necessary. The hope is that through these measures, a more equitable and sustainable trade framework can be established, benefiting both nations in the long run. Effective February 4, 2025, Canada took a bold step in the ongoing trade dispute with the United States. Canada imposed a 25% tariff on a wide array of American goods, marking a significant escalation in the trade tensions between the two neighboring countries. This hefty tariff was applied to $30 billion worth of US imports, a move designed to send a clear message to Washington. The initial wave of tariffs targeted a diverse range of consumer products. These included everyday items such as orange juice, peanut butter, and wine, which are staples in many households. Additionally, spirits, beer, coffee, and various household appliances were also on the list, ensuring that the impact would be felt across different sectors. These products were carefully selected to impact a broad swathe of American businesses and consumers. The strategy was to create a ripple effect that would be hard to ignore. The goal is to apply economic pressure across multiple sectors of the US economy, from manufacturing to retail, thereby encouraging a reconsideration of the US tariff policy. The Canadian government hopes this will force the US to reconsider its tariff policy. By targeting key industries, Canada aims to highlight the interconnectedness of the two economies. The immediate implementation of these tariffs underscores the seriousness of Canada's response. It is a clear indication that Canada is prepared to defend its economic interests vigorously. It demonstrates the Canadian government's commitment to taking swift and decisive action to protect its economy and workers. The tariffs are not just a political statement, but a practical measure to safeguard Canadian jobs and industries. The impact of these tariffs is already being felt on both sides of the border. At busy border crossings, delays are becoming more common as goods are subjected to increased scrutiny. Consumers are experiencing higher prices for goods caught in the crossfire. Everyday items that were once affordable are now becoming more expensive, affecting household budgets. Businesses, both in Canada and the US, face disruptions to their supply chains and reduced access to markets. Warehouses are seeing empty shelves, and trucks are stuck in traffic at the border, unable to deliver their goods on time. Economic analysts predict that if the situation continues, it could lead to a slowdown in economic growth for both countries. Business leaders on both sides are calling for a resolution to avoid long-term damage. As the leaders of both nations address their citizens, the world watches closely. The hope is that through dialogue and negotiation, a mutually beneficial solution can be reached, easing the economic strain and restoring normalcy to trade relations. Beyond the immediate tariffs, Canada has prepared a second wave of tariffs on an additional $125 billion worth of US goods. These tariffs, however, are contingent on the outcome of a 21-day consultation period. This period offers a window for dialogue and potential de-escalation of the trade conflict. During this time, the Canadian government intends to engage with industry stakeholders and the public. The goal is to assess the potential impact of these pending tariffs and explore alternative solutions. The goods targeted in this second phase are primarily industrial products. These include vehicles, steel, aluminum, aerospace products, certain agricultural goods such as beef, pork, dairy, trucks, buses, recreational vehicles, and boats. These sectors represent significant components of the US economy. The potential economic fallout from these tariffs could be substantial, impacting jobs and businesses across the United States. Section 4. Protecting Canadian interests. The Canadian government's decision to impose tariffs, while a difficult one, is rooted in its commitment to protect the interests of its citizens. This decision was not made lightly, as it involves a complex balancing act between maintaining international trade relationships and ensuring the economic stability of the nation. The government has been in constant consultation with various stakeholders, including industry leaders, economists, and community representatives, to gauge the potential impact and to strategize the best course of action. The tariffs are designed to safeguard Canadian jobs, businesses, and consumers from what are seen as unfair trading practices. By imposing these tariffs, the government aims to create a level playing field for Canadian industries that have been struggling to compete against subsidized foreign goods. This move is also intended to encourage domestic production and consumption, thereby boosting the local economy. The government believes that protecting its industries from unfair competition is essential for long-term economic health and sustainability. The government argues that the US tariffs have already had a negative impact on the Canadian economy, leading to job losses and business closures. Many communities have felt the brunt of these economic challenges, with local businesses shutting down and workers finding themselves unemployed. The ripple effects of these closures are far-reaching, affecting not just the immediate families of those who have lost their jobs, but also the broader community that relies on these businesses for goods, services, and economic activity. These retaliatory tariffs are seen as a necessary measure to defend against further economic harm. The government is keenly aware that inaction could lead to even more severe consequences, including a deeper recession and a more prolonged recovery period. By taking a firm stand, Canada aims to mitigate these risks and demonstrate its resilience in the face of economic adversity. The government is also actively engaging with international allies to build a coalition against protectionist policies, hoping to foster a more equitable global trading system. Furthermore, the tariffs are intended to send a clear message to the US government. Canada is prepared to take a stand against protectionist trade policies that it deems harmful to its economy and its people. This stance is not just about economic self-defense. It is also about asserting Canada's sovereignty and its right to fair treatment in the global marketplace. The government is committed to ongoing negotiations and diplomatic efforts to resolve these trade disputes, but it is equally prepared to take decisive action when necessary. The government's commitment to protecting Canadian interests extends beyond simply imposing tariffs. It is also focused on long-term strategies to strengthen the economy and support its citizens. This includes investing in infrastructure projects, promoting innovation and research, and enhancing social safety nets to ensure that all Canadians can thrive, even in challenging economic times. The government is working to create a more resilient and diversified economy that can better withstand external shocks. It has also pledged to provide support to businesses and workers who are negatively affected by the trade dispute. This includes financial aid packages, workforce training programs, and other initiatives designed to help those impacted to adapt and find new opportunities. The government is committed to ensuring that no one is left behind and that the country emerges stronger and more united from this period of economic uncertainty. Section 5. Relief for Canadian businesses. Recognizing that tariffs can have unintended consequences, the Canadian government has committed to establishing a remission process. This process aims to provide financial relief to Canadian businesses adversely affected by the retaliatory tariffs. Details of the remission process are still being finalized. However, it is expected to focus on mitigating the negative impacts of the tariffs on Canadian businesses operating in specific sectors. The goal is to ensure that Canadian businesses remain competitive and continue to thrive despite the challenges posed by the trade dispute. This commitment to providing financial assistance demonstrates the government's understanding of the potential hardship these tariffs could impose on some Canadian businesses. It underscores the government's dedication to supporting its industries and workforce through challenging economic times. Section 6. Beyond tariffs, exploring further actions. While the focus remains on tariffs, the Canadian government has indicated its willingness to consider additional measures. These could include non-tariff actions if the United States maintains its current course. These potential actions could take various forms, including increased regulatory scrutiny of U.S. imports, delays in customs processing, or even targeted investment restrictions. The exact nature of these measures remains undefined and will likely depend on the evolution of the trade dispute. This willingness to explore non-tariff measures underscores the seriousness of the situation and Canada's determination to protect its interests. It also highlights the potential for the trade conflict to escalate beyond tariffs and encompass a broader range of economic measures.